Hi, welcome again to Life, Loss and Hope. Please continue to share, to like and subscribe. Today I'm talking about the waves of grief. The shock of death is all-encompassing. Even when you're expecting someone to die after a lengthy illness, it's still a massive shock when it actually happens. We are never truly prepared for the finality of death. In an earlier video, I talked about this when I worked at the hospice. Even when I knew the person was approaching the end of life, it would still be a massive shock when they actually passed. The waterfall analogy that's often used to describe the grief process says this: it can feel like you're being plunged over the edge of a steep waterfall, falling into deep swirling water and being sucked underneath. Grief can feel terrifying, confusing, disorientating, a feeling like you're drowning and that you can't breathe. Other people describe it like being on a ship that is hit by a gigantic wave, causing the shipwreck, and then you are in the stormy water trying to swim with all the wreckage around you. Everything floating around you reminds you painfully of the beauty, safety and security of the ship that was and is no more. And all you can do is try to come up for air, to breathe, to survive, to float or grab on to pieces of wreckage. Initially, all you can do in grief is try to stay buoyant and survive the swirling waves of emotion, disbelief, numbness, anxiety and confusion that constantly crash over you without a break. After some weeks or months, you may find that the waves are still crashing over you, but will knock you off your feet suddenly. However, they might be slightly further apart, giving you some time to function and recalibrate your life. The waves of grief eventually will subside in intensity and frequency, but are an ongoing part of the grieving process and still can appear from nowhere to wipe you out. In my experience, you will never know what will trigger the grief wave. Perhaps it's a smell, a song, a place, a chance meeting, or an object that holds emotional memories. The other day, I was in the kitchen carving a roast chicken, and immediately I saw the wishbone. A grief wave hit me. I just stared at it and stood still, and I felt tears coming down my face. In our childhood, when we had a roast chicken, my mum or my gran would always give us the wishbone to pull and make a wish. And my brother would always try to hold on to it higher as we pulled it apart so he would win the wish with the larger piece. And it was a sudden missing my brother wave of grief, totally unexpected. It took me by surprise. And just like the sudden smell of honeysuckle brings a wave of missing my mum, we all get caught off guard by these moments, which I believe will always come. Somewhere in the progression of time, we can also see the waves of grief coming and even prepare ourselves better for them. For instance, as Christmas approaches, New Year, birthdays, weddings and other special occasions. Somehow I feel that personally, I don't want these waves to stop coming, either expectedly or unexpectedly, as the pain of grief reminds me of the love that I still carry. It is strangely bittersweet riding the wave, allowing myself to feel those emotions of missing, remembering, still loving those that I've lost. But it helps me to gain strength from surviving them too. I have lost grandparents, parents, friends, my marriage, pregnancies, my brother, and a host of others during my work at the hospice. And I will never get used to people dying, or how each grief is so painfully different, and how it tears a hole in my heart every time somebody I love dies. But I engage with these waves of grief now, and I allow them to wash over me. They are powerful connections and periodic reminders of the love, the loss, the pain, the memories that potently say their life mattered and still does. I don't want it to be something that passes or is forgotten, because it's a testament to the love and the relationship with that person. If the love was deep, the grief is deep, and so the scars are deeper. But they're also a sign that we survive and heal, living and loving on, Healing doesn't mean forgetting. In our natural flesh, when we're wounded, the healed tissue becomes stronger and the scar remains as a visible sign of that wound. Our scars are only ugly to those who don't know our story or can't see the beauty in love and loss. When we are hit by an unexpected wave of grief, perhaps in a shop or at work or at home or on a special occasion, it will happen anywhere. We can feel ashamed or embarrassed, worrying about what others are thinking and feeling and how they're going to react. And this can lead to us bottling up and denying our emotions, which really isn't healthy for us. In my experience, most people are very responsive and compassionate if you say something to let them into that moment. It can feel very vulnerable to truthfully say what is going on, but it builds trust, relationship, and also understanding of your situation. If you simply say, "Sorry, bear with me, I'm having a missing my father moment," it helps to use often the person's name you loved also. You might want to say, "I'm having a missing Jean moment." Once you've gathered yourself and come out the other side of the wave, it may also give you the opportunity to explain what triggered the wave and any memory attached, so that you can talk about your loved one in a natural way. And this also keeps their memory alive, which is so vital. The only way we can avoid the pain of grief is never to love. And I certainly rather would have loved and lost than never have loved at all. The paradox of love and loss is perhaps best encapsulated in this quote from Khalil Gibran that says, "The love that crowns us also crucifies us." Life itself is bittersweet. There are dualities in all things: birth, death, sorrow and joy, dark and light. And as it says in Ecclesiastes, to everything there's a season and a time. We can't experience one part without the other. It all coexists. And understanding this can transform the way we live on after loss, in the knowledge that in all things, something is broken and beautiful, that there is a sliver of light on even the darkest nights, and a shadow of hope in every heartbreak, and that the scars and splinters of sadness can also be present in our healing.